Hello and welcome to our webinar. For those who haven't met me yet, I'm Zoya and I am your account manager at Coralogix. As you might already know, Coralogix is not just any observability platform. We are your all-in-one solution for logs, metrics, traces, and security. Today, I'm proud to present this masterclass on our cutting-edge alerts and dashboards. I'm excited to introduce Aviv Haimovitch, our product manager who built the dynamic dashboard system, and Maayan Raviv, the product manager of our sophisticated alert system. And they will help you to stay one step ahead in the fast-paced world of data. So without further ado, let's dive in. Guys, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Zoya. Welcome, everybody. Wonderful to see you all here. And I see more and more people are joining, and it's really good news. Today, we will cover alerts and dashboards in Coralogix. And we're excited to invite you all to this webinar. As you know, being proactive with your data and staying ahead of the curve is not just an advantage, it's actually a necessity. And for that, we chose to emphasize the two components, alerts that actually trigger and get you to Coralogix when something happens, and the dashboards that provide you the overall visibility of your data. So we will cover today how to set up an alert and the best practices of the various kinds of alerts that we have, and as well as the incident management new component that we've just deployed about a month ago, brand new incident component, incident management component, which let you triage and manage the alerts that are actually currently triggering. Aviv?
Yep. Thanks, Maayan. And we will also cover the dashboard area. So we'll go over creating intuitive and informative dashboards tailored for your needs. And we'll showcase the impact of effective dashboard utilization and visualizations. We will finish with a nice Q&A session based on the questions that you will send us during this webinar.
And to top it all, we actually have a competition that will run at the end of this webinar. We will ask you to suggest us a feature that will fit, that you think should fit into our 2024 roadmap. And we actually have a prize of $100 Amazon voucher for the one who will suggest a feature that will make it into our roadmap. Simple as that. So you know the product already. I'm sure and I hope you will enjoy this webinar. And if you have that one idea that you would like to see, you are most welcome to suggest it. Best case, you'll get $100 and the feature. So that's definitely a bonus. Now we can definitely start the. Oh, but what? You see, we actually have a production issue. So.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, I just got a Slack notification that we have an issue in production. So let me just share screen with you. You can see my Slack, I guess. So I see we've got an error here. Well, it's an alert of a critical severity called production status 500 error. And the alert tells that we have reached a threshold of 100 within 10 minutes of logs with HTTP response status code 500 of one of our product IDs. So looks like a production issue we need to tackle. I will get to that issue by just clicking View Alert and see the data itself. So I have here the Coralogix tab that opened, which takes me to the alert event itself. So what is actually an alert event? Well, we are tracking all logs that get into Coralogix and evaluating each and every one of them in front of all of the alerts defined. And for each one, we present the alert definition, actually the data of what was defined in the alert, like the threshold. In this case, query has more than 100 matches within 10 minutes. And we present to you this line chart that shows exactly when the triggering window has started. and you're able to filter for the various permutations, the ones that are triggering and the ones that resolve. That means they actually stopped triggering. And we provide the logs that actually trigger the alert. So each one of these logs match the query and has the specific product ID that we have triggered the alert on.
So
yeah,
you talked about the product ID as a key. Can you explain a bit more about that? What did you mean exactly?
exactly. So this alert is grouped by a product ID. That means we actually fire the alert for every specific value of the key product ID. It was made when defining the alert so that we get triggering for every value separately. And when we trigger an alert, obviously we keep silent for a certain amount of minutes, depending on your configurations. So we actually keep silent for a specific value. That means if we trigger for a certain value, we will wait for a certain amount of minutes until triggering again, but a different value of product ID can trigger right afterwards. Actually, in order to see all of this history of triggering events, I can just go from this screen that presents a snapshot of one event to the actual incident history screen. I'm clicking here, and I will see all the different events that triggered within this incident. Now, the incident history as part of the incident management component is a brand new feature that we have deployed not so long ago. And it lets you here see the entire history of the incident from the moment it started triggering and each alert event that was sent and the actual values of that key that was grouped by within this incident. And as you can see, certain events have multiple values that are triggering and multiple values that are resolved in one evaluation.
And Maayan, is there a way to know if other alerts were triggered at the same time of your specific alert?
Definitely. For that, we have the incident overview screen. By clicking this button, I get to the actual high-level overview screen of incidents, in which I can see, divided to two different tabs, all incidents that are currently triggered and the ones that were acknowledged. Actually means that they were not resolved. That these are the issues we have to tackle. And when going to the All Incidents tab, I actually see all incidents that have triggered within a specified time frame. So for example, within the last 15 minutes, we have all these incidents triggered, and we can either acknowledge them and mark that we are handling the issue, or resolve an incident that has been resolved and therefore doesn't need to have any further action taken. So I've seen how we resolve this incident, but we would like to see the actual logs that triggered the specific incident and analyze them with a broader set of tools. For that, I will go to our alert, the one that triggered the production status 500 errors. I will look at the latest event. And from here, I can easily navigate to the Explore page. I'm sure you're familiar with the Explore page. This is where we actually show the logs for analysis with a wide set of analytical tools. As you can see, we have the Explore page opened, and it has already a query that focuses us exactly on the logs that trigger the alert. All of them are logs with severity critical and contain the information regarding the product ID that actually triggered that specific alert event. As well, in the Explore, we can apply a set of filters to slice and dice the data to just find the logs that we do care about. And once we found the one log that we care about, we can actually broaden the scope by asking to see surrounding logs. By clicking to view surrounding logs, we can see what happened before and after that specific log from the same subsystem and same application, so that we maintain the context, but we actually remove filters for severity, for example, so that we can see also info and debug logs that arrive just before our specific alert, and actually the logs that trigger the alert. And therefore, we can better understand what happened in that application just before triggering the alert.
Nice. So if you would like to deepen your investigation, you have any ideas for me?
So I'd say that there's a whole set of analytical tools that you can apply now, but if you would like to have like a one screen that that shows you all the different types of data that should be looked at when an alert triggers, I suggest you take it into a dashboard.
So I'll take it from here. Let me share my screen.
So canceling the screen share.
There we go. Cool. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll go to the dashboard and open a new custom dashboard. And using our new custom dashboard feature, we can easily visualize all our issues and have tailor-made solutions for our question. So let's just start by creating a new dashboard from scratch. Create a new one, and we'll call it again. Call it my products. Cool. So I'll just add a line chart, easily group by severity, just to understand the count of logs the last 15 minutes. I'll clone this one and create another one and group it by subsystem. Yep, and create a new one. And have it by product ID. There we go. It's a bit crowded. I'll drag this one down. There we go.
So it looks like you already have a pretty basic dashboard in just a few clicks.
Yep, exactly. Basic, and that's one of the most important things in the custom dashboards. We want to have it basic and simple to start with, and then drill down and have it more advanced. So every widget, every dashboard is set to a basic functionality and more advanced capabilities. For example, if I look at the severity widget, I would like to have a bit more advanced coloring. I would have the color scheme of severities, and then I can see my trends by the severity that we have, the color coding that we have at Coralogix. I see the debug is very noisy. I would just right click and exclude the debug logs out of my dashboard, and bam, they went out. Now I can see a filter was created. And when I go to the filter pane, I can see that severity debug is excluded from my dashboard. What else can we do? For example, if I take a look at the subsystem, it's very noisy. The tooltip is very noisy. I can just go and choose a single view, not have all the series, and then I can just hover over a specific time series and have the tooltip values of that specific one. If you can see, the higher is coordinated with all the widgets. So when I focus on a specific one, I get a corresponding time frame for all the rest. Let's continue and dig into the advanced settings of a specific dashboard. I'll expand the subsystem widget. Now I'll add some values to the legend. So for example, I will add the last, the average, min, and max count of those values. And I can then easily can see the values to the widget. These are top 20. Let's add some more time series, for example. Let's have it 40. There we go. Now I have 40 subsystems, all of them relevant to my specific time frame.
That's very nice. But we've actually seen that multiple product IDs gave errors. What about comparing them?
Yep, you're right. Let's do that. So we saw some line charts. Let's see more visualizations that we can add to our dashboard. So if I would like to compare between the specific product IDs, I'll just drag a pie chart in here. Let's group it also by product ID. Can remove the subsystem, and now I can see the specific product IDs that I have here. Again, going into that specific widget, I'll take the advanced. I could play, for example, with the values that are displayed, remove them. I can keep only the percentage, for example, and understand the slice's percentage. Let's add the name of the product ID to go with that specific slice. And that's one easy, quick visualization that I was able to add. Let's add another one. Let's add the bar chart, our vertical bar chart, for example. I'll drag it here, group it also a product ID. I have the bar chart, some advanced settings on the bar chart as well. So for example, I would like to add a stacking to my bar chart, add another level of analysis. So let's add severity to each one of the bars. Then I can actually go and see it's sorted by name and not by value. There we go. So I can see all my product IDs by name, and I can see the distribution of the product IDs. And if I want, I can have the tooltip show me as well. Second. Yeah. I'll go and remove the filter for a second. I'll remove the debug filter. And there we go. So I have a visualization, a bar chart that can show me relative one product ID to the rest. I can see it in the pie chart as well to see it in percentage. And I can also see, of course, the trend of a specific, of all of my product IDs, and I can easily zoom into a specific time frame. It will affect all the dashboard and drill into a specific time frame that I'm looking to investigate.
That's very nice. I want to ask you about adding a variable.
Thanks for that. It's a good question. Variable is a very powerful option. So if we're investigating product ID, let's add the product ID as a variable. I'll give it a name, display name, be my products. I will save it. And now I created a variable. The way to use a variable is to just take the actual variable value and put it in a Lucene query. So for example, I can go into the pie chart, go to the query and say product ID is curly brackets, product ID in this case. Let's copy it quickly and add it to some more visualization. So we have the line chart as well. Let's add it to the bar chart. Sorry. Yeah. So
actually, my question was, what do I get from adding a variable that I don't get from using a filter?
So it's a good question. So let's start by showing how it works. So first of all, for example, I can take my product and your product and compare between them. Just choosing them in a variable, I can see, it's not. Yeah, there we go. So I can see that your product is much more problematic than mine. It has a lot more alerts in percentage. It's 72% versus my 27%. You can see that yours is higher. So you have a lot of work to do in your product. You can see the time series, all are filtered here. But it's not all. The most powerful thing about variables that varies from filters are filters are applied to specific data sources. I can have a filter on logs. I can have filter on metrics. If I would like to add spans to my dashboard, I can have filter on spans as well. A variable is a thing that I can shove wherever I want. So I'll give you an example. I'll take, just a second, I'll copy a prompt QL that I prepared in advance, so I won't. Yeah, and I'll just add a new widget. Table widget, for example, and I'll change the source to be metric. I'll paste my prompt QL, and now I actually have a prompt QL that gives me the average load time of all the product IDs in the system. It's a very powerful metric that we get, and I can compare our two products, and let's just customize it a bit. I'll remove some unnecessary fields. I'll add the product ID and the corresponding product name so it will be more visible. And I'll apply it. And there we go. So we can see the count, the value for each one of the product IDs, the actual product name that goes with that product ID. Let's add another metric widget. I'll add a line chart right here. Again, I'll have it also as metrics.
So it's quite awesome that you can combine widgets on log analytics and metric analytics in under one dashboard. But what about traces?
I'll get to traces in a minute. Give me one more second just to show you. So you can see that all the metrics widgets are also based on the variable that they show. So for example, I'll add another product ID to our variable, a third one. All widgets, both for the metric widgets and the logs widgets, are all updated with a new value. So that powerful variable can give us actually the power of filtering my dashboard via a specific label that can be applied to various data sources. And yeah, I promise traces. Let's play with a bit of tracing as well. And just add a line chart. Now have it source spans. You can have the count. I'll group it by service. And I can see the count of all the spans in a specific group by service. I can even add show only the arrowed spans, filtering. I can identify spikes in one of my services. Bingo. One of the big advantages of visualizations, I can see the problems in the face. Let's add the gauge. Also spans. Let's have it on the average duration of my spans. You can see it red currently. Let's broaden the thresholds a bit more. Now it's green, and I can even clone this one. Let's take, yeah. To take a look at the gauge, I can just remove the arcs if I don't want them and have it as a stat widget.
Awesome.
Change the threshold a bit, and there we go. So actually, quickly, I just created a dashboard that has spans, that has metrics, that has logs, all in one. Very easy to use, very easy to understand. Everything is visualized and simple.
Well, that's really awesome, Aviv. And I have a question for you. I know that indexing data in frequent search is quite costly. So do you really have to index all this data in order to present it in a dashboard?
So thanks for the question. One of our most powerful capabilities of the dashboard is that our widgets can run both on frequent search and on archive data saved in your S3 bucket. So how do we do that? Simple. Let's take one of the logs widget, and I will choose to load the data not from the frequent search, but from the monitoring. Let's have it. You can see it again. Archive queries are usually much more heavy, but still it loaded pretty fast. And I have now data from my monitoring data. So all logs that are in high and medium priority are displayed in my dashboard. I can apply this to any widget that I want. I can save the dashboard with this specific parameter. And the next time that I will load my dashboard, the widgets that are monitoring widgets will be loaded from the archive. The ones that are from the frequent search will be loaded from the frequent search. Okay, so one last challenge that I want to show you is that the thing is that sometimes I would like to have the visualizations one within the other. So another powerful capability that we have is adding multiple queries. So for example, you can see that this specific widget that we created was on logs. I can create another query within the same widget, have it, for example, to be from metrics. Let's paste the PromQL from before. Let's change it to product ID. There we go. Name it. Aviv. Load time. There we go. Cool. And now take a look at this. So I can have in a specific widget, both queries, one from my logs data, one from my metric data. I can add tracing and spans data as well here. And I can correlate between phenomena that I can see in a specific metric with a specific logs. It's priceless. It's very, very helpful to analyze and understand the exact stuff. For example, I can compare this time series with his corresponding time series, just have them both. I can play, for example, with units. Let's add advanced and add milliseconds here. Bang, now I have one grid that shows me the milliseconds, the other one that shows me the count, so I know exactly when I'm working with one or with the other, the relevant stuff is in focus. Simple.
That's very nice, Aviv. But I would like to know, if I want to get an early notice on issues, can I actually define an alert right from the dashboard?
You sure can. You sure can. So let's go to the metric. Let's see, let's have it bigger. Let's have it 6 hours. Okay. I'll bring back all of our product IDs. There we go. And for example, I'm taking a look now at the average time widget with all the product IDs. And I would like to focus on a specific one. Let's say, for example, I will take watch. So I can right click, include, and filter all the metric widgets. Again, that's not a variable, that's a filter. I can see on the left side, it's applied on all the metric widgets. But now I can identify that I have here some peaks that I don't like. So it's usually around 500, but this is an area which I don't like, where the average load time goes above. So what I do is I just click and create an alert from within the widget. I get this cool control. I can visualize and decide what the threshold will be. Not too much, not too low. For example, these are the peaks that are interesting me. Something above 600 milliseconds. I like it. I understand that's what I want, and I just click next. I'll call it my metric alert. I can give it a severity, and I can go down and see it's already auto metric alert chosen. I can see my PromQL in the query. I can see the conditions. I can play with the condition, change them a bit. I can define, like any other alert, a specific webhook to be sent to my Slack, to my PagerDuty, whatever. And I just create the alert, and there we go. I have an alert waiting for me, and I'll hand it over back to you to talk a bit more about alerts in the system.
Thanks a lot. So we actually saw how you correlate different types of data in one dashboard, and eventually you define an alert right from within the dashboard on a metric. So let's just talk about the other alert types we have. We've seen in the first one an alert based on count of logs. That's our standard alert. And the second one you presented is an alert based on a threshold caused by a metric. So we can actually go to the alerts management page and see what other types of alerts we have. So we have here the place to select an alert type when creating a new alert. The standard is the one based on count of logs that we talked about, and you presented a metric alert that triggers when a metric crosses a threshold. We also have an alert for log analysis called the ratio alert. The ratio alert actually takes two queries, not just one, two queries. Each one of them matches a different population of logs. And then we divide the number of logs in matching one query by the number of logs matching the other query. Then we get a ratio. And then we set a threshold for this ratio. When this threshold is crossed, we trigger the alert. For example, if you know that during normal operation, you should have a ratio of errors within your overall traffic that is not above a certain limit, then you definitely should set a ratio alert that when this limit is crossed and you get more errors versus your normal traffic, then you will get this ratio alert triggered. Next comes the new value, which is also a log analytics-based alert. And the new value actually takes a query, matches a certain population of logs, and then in these logs, it tracks a specific key. And it will trigger whenever we see a new value in this key that wasn't seen in a specified time frame. For example, if you would like to monitor what kind of user agents are used to access your application, in order to stay on track with supporting new browsers or new devices, then you can set a new value alert for your incoming logins. And when you will have a new user agent that is used to access your application, then this alert will trigger. Next, we have the unique count alert. The unique count alert also based on logs for log analytics. And the unique count takes a query, it matches a certain population of logs on this query, and then the user selects a key. And we will track the number of unique values for that key. And the alert will trigger whenever the number of unique values will cross a threshold. And this alert can be used, for example, for security purposes. If you would like to get an alert when there's a risk of a DDoS attack on your platform, and the number of users attempting to log into your platform within a specified time frame has crossed a certain threshold, then you would like to get an alert. And that alert is exactly for that. Following is the time relative alert. Time relative is very similar to ratio alert by the fact that it actually defines a threshold over a ratio. But this time, we do not compare a ratio between two different queries. We actually compare the ratio between the results of a query in one time frame versus a different time frame in the past. For example, we can set a query and compare the amount of results matching this query versus the last hour to the same hour yesterday, or the same hour or the same day last week, and so on. So we can actually see a deviation in the number of results for a specific query. Like, for example, if you would like to compare the amount of errors that were produced after deploying a certain version. So you can compare that before the deployment of the version, there were a certain amount of errors, and after deployment of version, there was a different amount of errors. And if this ratio crosses a threshold, then you will get your alert triggered. Almost last one would be the tracing alert. That is an alert based on analysis of spans. We set the tracing alert in order to trigger when one span or multiple spans within a certain time frame actually cross a specified duration. So if we would like to get a notification when there is a span that takes too long, then we will set this tracing alert. Can be either set for notifying immediately. That means that one span is enough to trigger the alert, or you specify an amount of spans, like let's say 10 spans in 5 minutes, which are over a certain duration, then this alert will trigger. And to top it all, we have the flow alert. And the flow alert is actually based on a sequence of other alerts defined in Coralogix. So you can correlate a sequence of events under one alert. I will briefly show how it's made. The flow alert has a very simple builder that lets you drag and drop alerts into different stages. And the alert will trigger whenever a sequence happens, but it don't just have to happen at the same time. You can actually define a time frame that stage 1 will happen, and then 20 minutes afterwards, like in this example, stage 2 will happen, then the flow alert will trigger. And it doesn't have to be so simple, like 2 stages, 1 alert. You can actually combine multiple alerts in one stage and have an OR or and operator between them. So by using these features, you can actually set a very complex sequence of events in one builder, and we will trigger a flow alert when this sequence triggers all together. And since we saw that we actually have alerts that are based on log analytics and alerts for metric or traces, you can actually correlate the 3 different types of alerts, tracing, metrics, and logs in one flow alert, and actually trigger the flow alert when there's a sequence correlating events that happened in the 3 very different types of raw data.
Amazing stuff, Maayan. Amazing stuff. I have one beef with you. I'm a work-life balance dude, so I don't like to be disturbed by triggered alerts during my night sleeping time and my weekends. You have any Walla Bala feature for me?
Yeah, so we definitely have a Walla Bala feature. It's a work-life balance one. We actually call it the Suppression Rules. The Suppression Rules is a brand new feature we just released, I think it was last week, that lets you actually suppress alerts in a certain time based on specific keys, and select the specific alerts that you would like to suppress. So you have it here in the top navbar under alerts, suppression rules. And the suppression rules actually are very dynamic. They let you suppress a certain alert only when it triggers, let's say if you like, only when it triggers on a certain value of a specific key. So you can select a key and select a value or multiple values, and we will suppress all these values whenever they trigger. This operation can be applied to either all alerts or alerts you specifically select by name, or only to alerts carrying a certain label. So you're also very dynamic in defining which alerts the rule apply to. And when it comes to times, the rule can be set to either operate 24/7, so it doesn't stop, or it can operate only one time. Like if you have a certain event that you would like to suppress alerts during that event, and that's it. Or the rule can be set as a recurring rule, so that you actually have a suppression applied to specific values on specific alerts every given set of time. Like, for example, every day or every week in certain weekdays, or every month on the 17th, if that's what you like. So very dynamic operation for the suppression rule. And to give you a hint on the use cases of the suppression rule, we actually did this pre-made templates for suppression rules. You can click each and every one of them, and it will create a suppression rule for you, already auto-filled with some of the parameters that let you adjust the rule to the specific use case. So for you, Aviv, for example, you would like to take the working hours suppression rule, which will set a rule to suppress specific alerts, or either all of them, every day when you go to, when you leave the office. So that's your Walla Bala feature.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We have a little time for Q&A. We'll start with the first question. Can one trigger on lack of data, meaning the service is down?
Talking about more than usual, less than usual, or
yeah, probably yes, lack of data. I see. I got it. Yeah, definitely. So we have in our alerts section, we have the standard alert and metric alert that trigger for more than or less than types of conditions, but we also have more than usual and less than usual for both of them. So we can actually actually less than usual coming for standard alert very soon, but available for metric alert. So for example, you can select between a less than, a more than usual, or a less than usual. So this alert will trigger for lack of data, and it answers the question, I hope.
Another question, can you please elaborate a bit about the incident page? I see that there is an option to assign an alert to a user. What is the use of this? Does it trigger a Slack message to the user or something else?
Okay, a good question. So yeah, we definitely have the option to assign a certain incident to a user. You can also say that once a user acknowledges an incident, gets automatically assigned to that incident. Now, this is the first step of this feature, and we're about to add that when assigning a user to an incident, the user will get an email notification. And also we have some coming plans for certain in-house notifications, but it's still yet to come.
Okay. Which features in custom dashboards do not exist in Grafana?
Grafana. Okay, so first of all, we are still not Grafana, but we're getting there. But we do have like 2-3 big differentiators. The first one and the most valuable one is that we can run on your archive data. So we can create a visualization and have it on monitoring, and all the data that is a monitoring level will be retrieved. You can create a dashboard on your archive data, which is super powerful and super insightful. The second one is the combination between a visualization within a dashboard and within, of course, a specific widget. So I can create a multi-query within a widget, and I can then combine metrics data, traces data, and logs data within a specific widget, giving me powerful insights. It's currently supported in line charts, and in our roadmap, we'll be able to create multi-queries for the rest of the visualizations, and eventually to create multi-queries with multi-visualization within a visualization, like bar chart with a trend line, or like a line chart with stat on it, and combine all kinds of information and data within one visualization.
Thank you, Aviv. Another question, can I use Terraform to manage my alerts?
Definitely. Yeah, you can use the Terraform provider to manage your alerts. You can create, edit, or delete alerts, and actually also custom dashboards. So all operations that are supported in the user interface can also be made using the Terraform provider.
Okay, great. Another question, we're using the Prometheus Alert Manager for alerts. Can we migrate them to Coralogix?
Also a good one. Yes, we have actually a feature parity with Prometheus, so you won't miss any feature, and the migration process itself is fully supported. You can just export the YAML from Prometheus and import them into Coralogix and have an easy migration from the Prometheus Alert Manager to Coralogix Alerts.
Okay, another question. Is there a connection between incidents to Jira?
So currently we have the outbound webhook for Jira. It's one we had also before deploying the incident management, and we have no further connection at the moment. We do have plans for something more like a integration with the ticketing system, but it's not a near future one. So for now, this is what we have, the outgoing webhook for Jira.
Okay, great. And the last question I have is there a way to organize dashboards in folders?
Yeah, so this one is coming soon. Hopefully by this sprint or next sprint, we already will have a folder system, so you will be able to drag and drop your dashboards to a specific folder, create folders, organize your dashboards in a more a folder system like style. And whoever asked that question, you missed a chance for $100 voucher. Don't waste those questions. That's a cool roadmap. It's in our roadmap already, but that was a cool suggestion.
Last question. Is there an option to customize the alert Slack message? For example, I do not read the created by field in my message. Can I somehow remove it?
Okay, so it's a very good question. It's a feature that highly asked by many customers. Currently, the notifications themselves are fixed when using the outgoing webhooks. You do have the custom webhook where you can control which fields to include in the notification. Also, you can actually include the fields of the group by keys and the value that triggered the alert. That's very valuable to include in notification. But we do actually have significant plans to make a makeover in alert notifications, which will let you actually select which which keys you would like to include, and fully control the content. So that's a coming feature.
Okay, so I think we're through with all the questions. Regarding the price that Maayan mentioned in the beginning of our webinar, guys, you know how to reach me when you have your feature proposition ready. So that's a little incentive for you. And Maayan, Aviv, do you have something to add?
Nope. Hope you enjoyed. Any other questions, feel free to send to Zoya, and she'll contact us. If you want us to jump on a user call to hear your requests or to hear your feedback, we are always enjoy joining user sessions and hearing your requests and feedback. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And don't forget to send your feature suggestions. And in that case, you'll get a feature and a voucher. Thanks a lot, then.
Thanks, everyone, for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.